Hey everyone, welcome to the Rush Reports. I'm your host, Royce, and if you like Xbox, well, continue watching, I guess. But today, we're going to be talking about some stuff that I kind of have been hearing over the past weekend, which is a lot of, again, doom and gloom when it comes to Xbox. It is this machine that is holding back the generation, which is the Xbox Series S. Now, do I believe that? Well, let's talk about it. So again, another Digital Foundry video has come out, and it shows that Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which is coming to Game Pass day and date of release, is running worse than it is on PlayStation. So this is another game out of the most recent games that have been running better on PlayStation. And this actually goes back to, I think, Callisto Protocol. When I started noticing it, is that Callisto Protocol launched, and on the Xbox Series X, it did not have the same, the reflections weren't there, the frame rate wasn't stable, and the Xbox Series S version of it was really bad. And the best place to actually play it wasn't PC, was actually PlayStation 5. And a lot of rumors are coming out that the reason why that was because of PlayStation giving striking distance some developers, so that way they could help them with the PlayStation 5 and get it out and they have it look the best. And because of the relationship there and the deal they had in place with the marketing, that they were going to, allow this to happen and make sure that it runs best on PlayStation 5. Now, I don't necessarily believe that in its entirety. Like, I do think that PlayStation probably had some people help out, and that's not uncommon. That is actually what I think is expected of these console holders, is to have people go out and help these developers with their tools, to have them be able to go and build the best game possible with the hardware. If a developer has questions about it, why not send some people over there and be like, okay, what's your question? Okay, this is how you should do it. All right, there you go. Boom. There you go. Ship it. We're all good here. Right? So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. And I don't think that if PlayStation did do that, that is bad. That's not on PlayStation for wanting a game to work properly on their console. Now, I don't think that any developer is making sure that the Xbox Series X version of the game runs worse than it does on the PlayStation 5 by any means. But this is a weird trend that we are seeing, because it started with the Callisto Protocol, and then back in January we had Monster Hunter Rise, which is a Switch game. Right? Let me tell you, it's a Switch game. It should be running perfectly fine on the Series X. It should be running perfectly fine on the Series S. And what did we see? We saw a issue with the frame rates when it came down to the Xbox Series versions of the game. The PlayStation 5 beat them out every single time. Now, that's another thing, is that the PlayStation 5 on paper is weaker than the Xbox Series X console. So technically, the Xbox Series X console should be porting out better quality games, but that's not happening. Now we have another issue where Atomic Heart was not running as well as it was on PlayStation 5. And now this, with the whole Wolong thing, is also having the same exact issue. Now, there are games that do run better on the Series X, like Dead Space. Dead Space did run better on the Series X than it did the PlayStation 5, and the PlayStation 5 received a patch, and now things are even. And I think that all these games have received patches to kind of even out their performances and stuff. But even to this day, if you go back and look at the Callisto Protocol, something that a lot of people aren't talking about, and I think it's because of how the zeitgeist is, which is revolves around the game's release, and then after the game is released, boom, no one thinks about it anymore. But if you go and you look at the Callisto Protocol, something that I've noticed is the reflections in the PlayStation 5 version in the opening sequence has a really good reflection of the main character. But even if you go back, and I could go back and show you guys today, that on the Series X version, the character does not look as good as it's supposed to. And this has still not been fixed. And I think it's because, again, no one is covering these games once they get patched. And because of the amount of games that Digital Foundry is currently going and like constantly going through that they're not going to go back and do these things. They just don't have the time to do this. And another one is Hogwarts Legacy, also running better on Series X. And I want to point out that I say running better, right? And the thing about this is that you find out that the Xbox Series X version of these games always has a higher resolution, but their frames kind of dip more often than the PlayStation 5 version, which is usually running at a lower resolution. Now, people usually kind of discount that and don't really care. But also you got to understand that a lot of those frame drops, you're not really going to see. I think like only 10% of the people that are actually playing these games will be able to recognize when those games are actually having those dips. And someone who plays games all the time, me, I have trouble determining whether or not the game is actually running. I can tell the difference between 30 frames, 60 frames, and 120 frames, obviously, right? But if I play 30 frames, I can pretty much play it and not complain. Like, this is not something I really care about. And because of VRR and everything that's already in place, those frame rate drops aren't going to be seen as much by the people who are doing these analysis, because, well, they're doing it without VRR. They're going and they're able to determine whether or not there is frame dips and whether or not VRR is picking it up and actually smoothing it out, which is the whole point of VRR in the first place. And I think that a lot of these developers are relying on VRR to kind of get that smoother frame rate and just kind of leave it at that and just continue on with their lives. But this actually is very upsetting, because as someone who owns a Series X, as someone who's buying a console, and you hear that the Series X is the most powerful console out there, then you should be able to get the best performance. So why aren't we seeing these performance gaps, right? Because the Series X is supposed to be more powerful, but why is it dipping lower than the PlayStation 5? That is, it's a genuine question. I don't know. I'm not going to claim that I know about the SDK and RDNA 2 features and the tool set and blah 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 blah. I'm not going to complain about that. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know about that stuff, because I don't. I honestly don't. So I'm genuinely curious as to why this is occurring. Is it because PlayStation 5 ended up getting out their stuff, their developer kit to these developers earlier, and so they've had longer times to get used to it? Because by this time in the generation, I feel like now is about the time that a lot of the developers had enough time with the developer kits to be able to see a difference and understand how to get the most out of these consoles. So why is that not happening? I don't know. Is it because PlayStation 5 has more users, so they're focusing on the console that has more users? Because this isn't just a thing with Xbox, right? Everyone likes to say that, oh, Xbox, and they're clowning on Xbox. But the thing is that this is also happening with PC, because Callisto Protocol didn't run well on PC. You know what happened? It got optimized and now it runs well on PC, right? Like, that's just how things happen. They just take time. Once they get optimized, then they run fine. So is that not happening? Are the developers not optimizing their games for the Series console? Is it because the Series S version of this console is holding things back? Well, we recently have stuff from the Baldur's Gate developers come out, which they're saying, so what the team at Baldur's Gate is saying is that there's no release date for the Xbox version, because they've come into a situation where the Xbox systems aren't able to kind of get the co-op aspect working properly. And because they have to ship the Xbox Series X version and the Xbox Series S version on the same day, they can't actually figure it out right now. And so this is going to prolong the release of the Xbox version of Baldur's Gate 3. So why is that? Why are these developers having an issue with it? I thought that these developer kits for the Xbox were supposed to be designed in a way that allows developers to be able to utilize all the tools inside the Xbox Series X and S a lot better and a lot smoother, and allow them to actually be able to do things faster. That's what I thought. I thought that was what I was under the assumption of, but apparently not, because they don't know how to use it and to get around this fix. Now, the Baldur's Gate 3 devs have come out and stated that the Xbox Series S is not what's holding them back. They just wanted to be clear about that. But It's just the release date of it, the having to go through this hurdle. So why can't Xbox provide some people to go over there and help fix it with them? I don't understand that. Like, this is, do you understand? Like, do you understand what I don't understand? Is what I'm trying to get at here. Like, it's a very frustrating thing as an Xbox fan to be seen, to see that Xbox has the upper hand this generation, is what we heard in 2020, and we have yet to see that upper hand. And again, because we haven't seen Xbox team come out with their own game yet, we haven't really seen a game that has really used the Xbox Series X to its full advantages yet, and we won't see that for a while, I think. I mean, this year we do have some Series X and S exclusives with Redfall and Starfield and Forza Motorsport, and I think Forza Motorsport is truly going to be the first game that shows you the power of the series consoles, but we don't really know when that's coming. So I do think that the Series X is a very powerful console, and I don't think the Series S is actually holding back the generation that people are trying to say that it is. Like, I get it, you know, the whole potato conversation, but the thing is, it's not a potato. That we've heard countless times that this thing has been impressing a lot of people, and there are different there's different SKUs that these developers are developing for that are weaker than the Xbox Series S. There's still games being brought to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. In fact, Hogwarts Legacy is being brought to those games or to those consoles, and the Xbox Series S is supposed to be more powerful than those. So I don't really understand where this I can't do it mentality is coming from, because they can do it. It is possible. And there's also PCs that are weaker than the Series S that they're running better than they did on the Series S. And it's like, okay, well, if that's possible, then the Series S definitely should be able to play these games. And I think that these developers want money, right? You want to be able to get money and be able to continue developing games. So you probably should figure out a way to develop on the Xbox, because the Xbox is selling very well. It's doing very well. So you should probably sell your games on them, you know? Like, the Series S, like, as much as people clown the Series S for not being the most powerful console, it is a great way for people to introduce into gaming. You have access to Game Pass, you have access to xCloud, and all for a low price, something that's actually cheaper than a Switch. Like, and you're accessing next-gen gaming, or I guess current-gen gaming. And I understand that it is weaker, but there's games that run on the Switch just fine. And so I'm pretty sure you can figure out a way for games to run on the Xbox Series S just fine. And especially since this is allowing more people to get into gaming. That is a great way to continue to support that little man right there. So that way you can continue to get more and more people into gaming. That's what you want. You don't want gaming to die, so freaking develop for these damn things. Damn it! You know? Oh, whatever. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this is actually an issue? Do you think that it's Xbox's fault for all this? Or do you think that the developers are just not taking the time to actually optimize their games properly and are just shoveling them out the door? And because PlayStation 5 is the best-selling console, that's the place where they're going to spend most of their time on, because you might as well get people. I'd rather have 20 million people upset at me than 30 million people upset at me, you know? So it's like, kind of do the math there. So what do you guys think? Am I wrong? Do you think there's a clause in some of these contracts that are stating that games have to run on par with Xbox or better in these little clauses that they're making in their contracts? Let me know in the comment section below. I really don't think that. I just think it really comes down to the developers taking the time that is necessary to actually go and develop for these games and optimize them for the systems. And I know that is probably a very long process, but it's a process that needs to get done. So someone got to do it. Hey, I'll do it. If you pay me enough. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do it. Find me on Twitter. You know, I'll just hit me up. Hit me up. I'll be there. I'll be there day one. I'll even be a janitor. All right. I don't care. As long as I'm in the gaming system, that's all I need, baby. Let me know. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section below. And please tell me what you guys have been playing recently. I've been on a kick about this. I kind of want to figure it out. Let me know. Let me know. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you guys have a good one. Remember, take it easy.